if today's Tom Sawyer, he gets high on you. And the energy you trade, he gets right on to the friction of the day.
All right, Monday morning. But it's not Monday morning, it's Monday afternoon on the 26th of January, 2015. We hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. You were riveted to the Pro Bowl. Was there a game?
Was there a game?
Was there a game?
Was it this weekend?
Pathetic.
Did they play? Who won? The North or the South or
They
the
don't
East or
even
the
play it.
West?
East or the West? What is it?
Michael Irvin's squad beat
Okay.
Chris Carter's squad.
But next week, Super Bowl, $5 bets. Anybody here?
Yeah, I bet Deflategate will become even bigger story than it is right now.
Everybody in here played football. I mean, you do like a ball with a little bit of air out of it is much easier. I was a receiver, much easier to catch, particularly in bad weather because it's like a rock.
Yeah.
But
Well, I figured out why. I was trying to figure out why only 11 out of the 12 balls were inflated. Well, the 12th ball was the kicker's balls. And no, I want that thing as hard as I can
as hard
get
as
it.
a rock. Yeah, overinflated. All right, well, inflating balls to inflating and blowing up the Middle East. That's where we are.
Saturday Night Live had a really good funny skit on that whole thing.
Did they with
the
Brady
Belichick,
and everybody?
Brady.
Well, the whole thing's a funny skit. But Super Bowl, I'll take $5 on Seattle. I am for Seattle to beat. I do not like New England.
I hate New England too. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, but I'll just to make it interesting, I'll take the other half of that.
You have to give me some points. I mean,
No way.
oh come on.
It's
You
an
have to give
even
me
game.
points.
What are you talking about? Seattle's going to be favored.
You're going to give me
There's
points.
no points.
You got to give me points. What are you
3
talking
points.
about?
You give me 3 points.
I ain't
No
giving
way.
you squadouche, man.
You're
You ain't
getting to
getting
pick
nothing.
the side and change the points? Listen, just because you're the boss doesn't mean you get to change the Vegas odds.
These guys are tough. Okay.
I'll look up the odds for you right now.
Okay. There's
Yeah,
your
I'll take whatever the odds are, David.
cancel
Okay?
that vacation to Kazakhstan. Okay.
I'll cancel mine to D.C.
Tomorrow we're actually going to talk about Kazakhstan tomorrow. We're going to talk about Asia tomorrow. We're going to look at the House of the Sauds. I kind of have a feeling like I know exactly what's going to take place tomorrow.
I know.
That's because we already taped it, ladies and gentlemen. We tape in reverse now. We're taping a 3-part series, very, very important series, starting today, Monday the 26th, airing 4 o'clock today, 4 o'clock tomorrow, 4 o'clock the next day. The title for our 3-part series, you got to watch all 3, is the Middle East going to explode in 2015? We all know the answer is yes, but really, how much of an explosion will the shrapnel and the blowback from the explosion fall into your living rooms, into your bedrooms, into your nice automobiles, into your clubs and all of that? Or will you be unaffected by what's going on 7,000 miles ago? We got $5 on the fact you're going to be real affected by it.
Right.
Which is why we are bringing this to you at this critical time in the history of the world. You see, we have King Abdullah, who was the king from 2005, I think it was.
No relationship to me.
None to you. Totally
It could
different.
be with all these kids.
I
No,
know.
we're from Pakistan.
We have King Abdullah died just about a week ago now, and he was the king of Saudi Arabia. So now his half-brother took over and already willed the throne to his son. And in tomorrow's show, and the next day, Wednesday, we're going to show you these weird familial relationships based upon tribal military reasons, national security reasons coming out of the 1930s, but creating this destabilized, dysfunctional place called Saudi Arabia. And right below that, the bottom of that, is another wild and wacky country that goes by the name of what?
Yemen.
Now, if you were naming a country, would you name it, I don't know, Australia, the United States of America, even Canada? No, Yemen.
Yeah, Yemen's got a crazy.
Yemen.
They got a crazy symbol too.
What is their?
They do. They have a crazy little.
Like a hyena drinking malt liquor or
it's
something.
Weird. It is totally weird. It looks like a I don't know. It's very
Little
German,
little
Nazi,
Nazi-ish.
kind of
Yeah.
Nazi-ish there. I don't
Like
know.
it's two bird eyes, and that's a little strange.
It's a little strange.
But Yemen is being torn apart. Hasn't been very stable in a very long time. Had one ruler who kept some semblance of order for a few years, and now the most recent president quit, then came back, and who knows what's going on. But we got a division between the Sunni and the Shia. Probably a civil war is going to erupt there.
What is Yemen? Is it mainly
What do
Sunni
you mean
or Shia?
probably? We're witnessing it.
Yeah, it's going to get worse, but it's basically Iran. It's becoming another satellite state of Iran. Everything centers around Iran. The reason we're taping a 3-part series, Will the Middle East Explode in 2015, here on WSBR Radio at 11 minutes after 4 o'clock. Tom Trento, your host. Name of the show, Enemies of the State. Behind me, 2 enemies. And don't kid yourselves, folks.
Well, yeah, they
these
hate
2
each other.
guys do not like each other. And that's a very, very sad state of affairs because we know, one, President Obama is a pro-Islamic advocate, pro-Muslim enabler. He was born a Muslim. He converted to Christianity, he says, and as a Christian, I can't recognize his Christianity. He is primarily an anti-colonialist. He's very secular. There's no real religion in his life. But in terms of political systems and cultures and veneer religions, he loves Islam. He's told us that. So we have an individual there, President Obama, who hates Benjamin Netanyahu, not only because it's a man against a boy. Netanyahu, at 18 years old, joined the Israeli Defense Forces, spilled his first blood fighting for his country at about 19 years old, was wounded twice. His brother Yoni died. If you remember, he was a commander of a special operation to rescue. Remember that whole story?
Entebbe.
Yeah, Entebbe in Uganda, rescued all the Jews and others there. Phenomenally planned mission, commanded by Yoni Netanyahu, and then a sniper got him basically, and he got killed. So he was killed on that mission. And one of the very interesting moments of my life, I was walking around.
Well, we have Obama's history. Don't forget about Obama's history.
Yeah. But I'm
he had-
continuing at Yoni. Then we'll get to him. Yoni Netanyahu, young guy, died 28, I think. I was walking around Philadelphia one day in downtown, right across from the convention center, and there was this interesting park and it had like a Jewish symbol thing on it. So I just went to look at it, and I'm a Christian. People think I'm an Israeli or whatever. I'm not. I'm a Christian that loves Israel for a lot of reasons. I'm an Arab, yeah. And it almost was like a puzzle where you uncover this. And it's got a little sign. I read something there, and then you walk over here, and then I look down. On the ground, there's a memorial built to Yoni Netanyahu. And it tells the whole story. It's a memorial, like a gravestone. It looked like a gravestone. But it was a memorial, and guess who grew up in Philadelphia? His brother, Bibi, grew up and went to school in Philadelphia, then went up to school in Massachusetts. That's why he speaks, very, very good English. But in any event, yeah, Mark, back to your point, we have a man who bled for his country, served in the special forces of his country, got elected as an ambassador to the United States, got elected prime minister, got reelected prime minister, and now is trying to save his country from annihilation by a country that says every day we got to kill Jews, and he looks to America for help, and this guy is helping now Iran.
Well, you got to understand, Brock had some really stellar upbringing too. I mean, when he was back in college, he actually said this.
To avoid being mistaken for such a sellout, I chose my friends carefully. The more politically active black students, the foreign students, the Chicanos, the Marxist professors and structural feminists and punk rock performance poets.
Now, again, that doesn't stress the difference between the two upbringings and their no wonder they hate each other.
There's a picture going around, if our producers can find the picture. It's both of them at 20 years old. And President Obama is there with a kind of a Bahama hat, a Hawaiian hat, smoking a little weed. and Netanyahu is there. It looks like he's inside a helicopter with an Uzi getting ready for a combat mission. Both of them at 20 years old. And now they're both, Netanyahu's in his 60s. I think there's a 10-year difference. Well, they can't both at 20, not at the same year, obviously. So, yeah, we have this sub-drama being played out on the characters of the individuals. And if you want to critique...
Actually, I have that picture.
Do you have that picture?
Yes,
show the good
will.
folks this
We'll show it
picture
to
at
you.
16 minutes after 4 o'clock on WSBR Radio.
Huh?
I got it.
TheUnitedWest.org and
Okay.
TeaPartyCommunity.org.
Danny's
Check it
got
out.
it.
Both at 20 years old. About 10 years apart. There you go. Oh, that's the one without his hat. He's just smoking cigarettes. Obama, stage right.
To avoid being mistaken for such a sellout, I chose my friends carefully. The more politically active black students, the foreign students,
The dope dealers.
Chicanos, the Marxist professors and structural feminists and punk rock performance poets.
Now, this is so very, very, very important. Some of what we do here at the United West is work in the area of intelligence. Information is that stuff that you can readily find anywhere. Intelligence, you got to go look for it. It's not as readily available. You got to get it from various sources, and then you comprise a theory. Then you test the theory, it becomes a hypothesis. Test the hypothesis, it becomes a fact. It's a forensic process through which we go to understand things. We've done that with the upbringing and background of President Obama. And suffice to say, he's an insecure narcissist who needs strong women around him in order to feel validated, and very insecure in decision-making, as we've seen many, many times. Conversely, you have Netanyahu is anything but insecure, extremely secure, knows what he has to do, and you have one individual, the president, the head of the strongest, most powerful, richest country in the world. What a bizarre juxtaposition. The weak guy heads the strong country, and the strong guy heads the weak country in terms of size, not in terms of punch or economic capability, but in size in terms of the world. That's the drama being played out right now against a nuclear desire of evil enemies.
Do you think there's any alternative universe where Bibi Netanyahu is the president of the United States and Barack Obama is the prime minister of Israel? I mean, think about that.
I know. Well, first of all,
It's called our dreams.
well, I think the Israelis, the Israeli Jew is different than an American Jew, a Hollywood Jew. The Israeli Jewish people are unique individuals. They wouldn't put up with Obama as their president for the leftists.
No, they'd call an early election so fast that the guy's head would be spinning from the wind.
But Netanyahu would be a phenomenal president for the United States of America. We have that simple constitution that says you have to be born here. So any way around that?
Can we trade even up?
So what we're doing today, part one, we're going to take a look at the dangerous situation that Israel's facing right now, not only being in a very tough neighborhood, and an oasis, as many have said, in a jungle, not only being in a tough neighborhood, but the immediate elements are a potential outbreak of fighting on the northern border. And we have our dear friend with us that we're going to bring on in a moment, Michael Ganoe, who will give us a frontline report today, Monday the 26th, what's taking place in Israel right now. As you remember last week, the Israelis had to fire a couple of missiles at a convoy that was carrying high-level operatives from Hezbollah out of Lebanon and from Iran. One of them was a general from the Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, and 12 people were killed. Iran went nuts. Hezbollah went nuts. They're going to retaliate. Well, the big geopolitical question, the big military question is, will they retaliate, that is, Iran and Hezbollah, in a traditional border-to-border excursion? Well, if you go to Bogi Yalon, who's the defense minister, he said today, while he was at IAI, the Israeli Aeronautical Industries, I was there at IAI, same place he was just a couple of months ago. I went on a private VIP tour of the drone section. He's in the satellite section. And Yalon says, he's the he's the Minister of Defense for Israel. He said, Iran is seeking to open a new front against Israel from the Syrian Golan Heights. Now, when we go on our briefing mission, March 21 through 31, we're going right to the Golan Heights. We're going to be on the border of Syria. We're going to talk to people in the know, military, intelligence, law enforcement, about the situation. Going to be briefed so that we can come back, help educate people here so that we stand with Israel in very dangerous days ahead. But on the border right now, the Lebanese border and the Israeli border, in the northern region, in the Galilee, over by the Galon, we have Michael Ganoe. Ganoe, how are you? We got Jerusalem Jane, now we got Ganoe. Ganoe, I know.
How are
In the know. Where is he?
Right here.
I was trying to rhyme it. Michael, hi, how are you?
Doing great, Tom. How are you guys doing?
Good. Looks like you can't see me because we had to cut the
No.
video feed, but we see you perfectly. Great picture. Looks like you're in a bunker or something, man. Where are you without telling us too much?
Actually, I will tell you that I was walking around. I'm in the town closest, the main town, which is Kiryat Shmona, which is close to the Syrian and the Lebanon border, but close to Lebanon. If anything were to happen, this is the main town to get attacked.
Really?
So I was looking for people to do interviews and find out about what is actually taking place now. There's a large amount of tension here and build-up that's been taking place for months and even accelerated the past 2 weeks with the military. And I bumped into a friend of mine, a guy called a friend now, Shalom. Shalom actually was in the IDF for 25 years and has worked the borders of the Gaza and Syria and Lebanon here in the Golan.
Wow. Wow, yeah, that's can you hear me okay, Mike? Because the signal's a little tough. We may have to. We'll try to go through this Skype. Folks, at 23 minutes after 4 o'clock, we're Skyping Michael Ganoe in from the Golan area. The connection and all the tension and the jamming and all that stuff. If there's a problem, we'll try to pick him up by telephone. And he can talk on a phone. We can do the audio through the phone and cut the video. How about that?
Right, okay.
We can try that. I can call, well, you'll have to call him.
Yeah, we'll call him on the
through
Skype.
there, yeah.
Just a regular Skype call.
We may do that, Michael. We may give you a Skype call to your phone. So you may want to text your phone to Damon, and we may have to do that because we want to hear this interview. Why don't we give you the microphone here, and let's try it.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Just go ahead and do the interview. Let's see if we can get through it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You guys.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
ready. Go ahead. You start your interview.
Has one question for the American people.
I don't want to to make a big problem at USA, but I really don't understand why the American people choose a Muslim president. I have a very difficulties with it. Because
Me
they
too!
support
Oh, no,
Muslim
let him talk.
And not support Israel. It's really hurt me. He support Israel, but outside
We got cut off.
Yeah. We're going to have to,
Let's come back to me. Why don't we hook him up with the phone? Because we need to get that on.
Okay.
All right, what we're doing, this is live, ladies and gentlemen. It's 24 minutes after, the what? Oh. 24 minutes after the hour on Monday the 26th, and we want to bring you a report from a good friend of ours. The new guy's got to go. Adios, new guy. We want to bring you a report from a good friend of ours that's on the Lebanese border right now. And he has with him a former IDF soldier. Let's see, share this. Damon, I'm sending this to you. So our Skype is working great. It looks like they're in a bunker or something.
I know, they're in a bunker. Well, they got that great Israeli internet that we're so happy with all the time in Israel.
Well,
And
tell me if you got the thing I just sent you.
No, but the interesting part about this is that he is right on the Lebanon border, right where Hezbollah is. The yellow
Do you have a map?
flags.
We can show them where Kiryat Shimona is.
Yeah.
If we put that map up, show you right. Now, he's not in that town. He's on the outskirts.
Right.
But he's very, very close to that town. And what we're doing at 25 minutes after, we're starting a three-part series, Will the Middle East Explode in 2015? We all know the answer is yes. How big and how bad will that explosion be? And we're starting out today taking a look at the immediate threat Israel is facing from retaliation from the Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is the country to the north and to the west of Israel, and the country of Syria to the north and to the east of Israel, because Iran has their dirty Shia paws in both of those countries, and Iran is looking now to settle the score for Israel, taking out some of their folks a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to the immediate situation. Tomorrow we're going to take a step back, look at the continent of Asia, then look at the House of Saud, and then on Wednesday, bringing General Paul Valley in, help us understand the Iranian situation and the Yemeni situation. You're going to get a minor degree in Middle East politics and understand the necessity of standing with Israel and why President Obama, is so upset that Bibi Netanyahu is coming March 3rd to Capitol Hill to address Congress. We have that map of Kiryat Shimona. That's not really. Is it on there? No, it's up. You see where you need
It's on there, actually. It's very small. I'm going to rub the cursor over it. It's right here.
Yeah, right there, way up. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it now. Take a look at that. The cursor's moving, and for those of you driving, go to theunitedwest.org. When you get home, don't go there now. We're moving the cursor on the screen, and you see where our guys are right now. Our guy, Mike Ganoe, he's way up the northern tip of Israel on the western border. On the border of Lebanon, I was there not too long ago, and you simply look over a fence, and you're looking at Lebanon, but there's army posts all over the place. So do we have him on the phone? Did we pick him up yet?
He keeps calling in. I'm trying to call him on the phone, and he keeps calling back.
Well, let me go on with what we're doing here. The whole world realizes that something is amiss in the Middle East, and we have been following this for many years, and we've been going back and forth to Israel to show you the necessity of a strong national security relationship with Israel. Now, how do you actually work that out? Well, if you're a Jewish person in the United States, you ought to be involved in some pro-Jewish organization, Zionist Organization of America, or your synagogue, anything, if you're a believer in Zionism. Zionism is simply the principle that God has given this piece of dirt, Israel, to Jewish people, and that town, Jerusalem, is the eternal capital of Israel. And Israel are the guardians. Just as the Saudis say they are the guardians of the two holy places, Mecca and Medina, which they made up and invented themselves. That's not in the Quran. That's not in the Hadith. That's not in the Sunnah. They made that up in 1932. Well, in the same way, but in a real way, there's historical evidence, there's theological evidence, there's biblical evidence that God has chosen Jewish people for a particular task, bring the light of Torah, the law, God's world. He put them in a particular piece of dirt from which they would launch that mission, gave them a temple, and when they messed up, allowed the Jewish nation to be disciplined. They were taken away a couple of times. The temples were destroyed. And in a miraculous intervention that's unheard of in human history, he reconstituted a diaspora people who were dispersed in the year 71 AD by the Romans. Romans destroyed the second temple, and Jews had to run away just to save their lives. Not much difference up until 1948, that is. And Jewish people went all over the world in all the various countries. But through the miracle of the unity of the traditional belief systems of Judaism and the religious belief systems and practices of Judaism, this unique group held together, whether there were 10 or more, in various parts of the world. And then in 1948, through a whole variety of geopolitical upheavals and World War II, the United Nations said, there's your land, go back to it. And even though Jews were dispersed in 71 AD, all of them didn't leave. Many of them stayed in Israel and Jerusalem. There's been an unbroken chain of Jewish people in Israel. Now, once the Jews left, all various nations went in there and claimed it was their land. And Muslims did that when they tried to conquer various parts of the continent. And that's the Crusaders, the Catholics, launched a crusade.
Yeah, by the way, Tom, we're still trying to pick up Michael Ganoe and have him answer his phone. But we're having him a hard time answering his phone.
We're going to hang up Skype, and I'm going to call you on your telephone from Skype. I'm going to call you on your telephone.
Oh, you're talking about Skype. Okay. In 1971 AD, when they were dispersed, this miracle of reconstitution of Jewish people in 1948, you can't have eyes in your head to not see that this was a miracle, that now there's 15 million Jews worldwide. What? There's 15 million Jews worldwide. That's all the number of Jewish people. Why do you think Hitler thought it was doable back 70 years ago to eradicate Jewish people? Because on balance, it wasn't that large of a number. 12 million people or so. Wasn't that large of a number. It's doable. It's not 1.5 billion Muslims that are out there. Yet these 15 million people right now have a homeland and simply want to stay there. That's all. They want to stay in their homeland. And the first day they got it, they were attacked by 15 nations, 8 of whom were Arab nations. So let's see if we have Michael. If not, then I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Let's just try the Skype again because we're having some communication issues.
Just call him on the phone?
Yes, it doesn't seem to be
It doesn't seem to be working.
Put the map up there again. I mean, they are on the front line border, and Kiryat Shimona, way up there where that cursor is. And, I'm just guessing here. What do I know? Probably some of the communications are being monitored and jammed, particularly overseas phone calls.
Well, that's basically how Israel supposedly, if they were the ones responsible for that hit on the Iranian and Lebanese terrorists, that is, rumor has it. The rumor has it is that Israel knew who these guys were for a while. They were monitoring their phone calls, and they back-channeled through Moscow because there were no official relations between Israel and Iran and I guess Hezbollah, who knows how that goes. But they back-channeled through Moscow to let the Iranians and Hezbollah know, listen, we knew what you were up to. This is a preemptive strike. We don't want things to escalate, and neither do you. So it was basically told, we know what you're up to, and they know that via monitoring telecommunications, just like they're listening into Michael Ganoe right now.
Well, if you think about it, and it's 35 minutes after the hour on Monday, what?
Let's just try them. We're going to go with the Skype.
Okay, well, let me get a segue us back in. 35 minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock on the 26th. You got to watch that, the 26th of January, and we have Michael back. We're going to give it a shot and see if the communication has improved. Go ahead, Michael, all yours.
Okay. After the after the first of the month, my internet will not be so slow on my pad, I promise. So, okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
hear you well. We think it's
Okay.
the Mossad or one of those guys, Mike. It's not you. But
I
go
think
ahead.
it is Hezbollah.
Yeah, it could be Hezbollah.
We are actually sitting in Kiryat Shmona right now. I'm not sure if you guys know or can pick up my location or something, but we're actually in the town of Kiryat Shmona. Things are very tense here. I have Shalom, who spent 25 years in the IDF, guarding the border of the Golan Heights, of the Lebanon border, and even down on the Gaza. And Shlomo, do you want to add anything about what you feel like is going on here as far as the military movement?
I apologize about my very broken English because it's not so well. I was born here since
In Kiryat Shmona.
Kiryat Shmona, since 1963. And when I was 6 years old, there was rockets at my street.
Ken, no, let's do this. What do you see as far as the military buildup right now?
Speaking about now,
Ken.
now it's very biggest movement of military forces to take care our country because Hezbollah maybe attack us.
So, how many forces have been building up as compared to 2 weeks ago? Have they doubled, tripled, quadrupled, 10 times? How many forces are starting to amass on the border up there?
What would you say in the increase of numbers of
I
soldiers?
cannot speak about forces in this area.
Okay, he doesn't want to talk about the forces in this area, the buildup of forces in this area.
No, I was talking about on the Hezbollah side. On the Hezbollah side.
No.
I have no connection to the
Do they say it in the media?
We have called at the 3 last days
Yeah, the last 3
that
days.
that there is shadows at the border close here.
Yeah, last night they actually shut down a main road in this area because there were Muslims coming across the border. Hezbollah, I like to use the word Muslims, but there were the Hezbollah coming across the border and they caught some of these guys. So they shut down the main road for security purposes.
And demand the settlements to close themselves at their homes
And a lot of the neighborhoods here were shut down
and
for security
put
purposes
off lights.
and turn off their lights.
Turn off the lights.
Oh, so you're actually going. There's developments in that way. What's his name? Shalom.
Shimon.
Shimon. What publicly? I know there's been a lot of talk about what Hezbollah would do publicly if they attacked. What has he heard publicly that the Hezbollah would do to the Galilee region?
What have you heard, or what have they said in the media publicly that Hezbollah wants to do to this area?
They aimed Israel, Hezbollah and the Iranian, because 12 people, soldiers are killed at the attack that related to Israel. I don't know who did it. But
Yeah, they still don't know who did it.
I didn't know. But they got a big shock because the Mornia sons, Mornia was the big commander of Hezbollah,
Yeah.
and his sons killed at this action.
So what's happened recently is
They aim us.
they've got 100. Hezbollah has 100,000 rockets that are very unlike what you see in the Gaza. Today there was a test fire of rockets from the Gaza into the Mediterranean a new type of missile.
Gaza is a piece of cake, not like Hezbollah at any
Hezbollah,
opportunities.
right? Hezbollah is a very well-trained military, and Shalom was telling me earlier that he was in the Second Lebanon War, and it was mass chaos. The rockets that were hitting Kiryat Shmona.
Nearby his in Fargiladi, 12 soldiers, Israeli soldiers, IDF, have been killed at
Instantly.
one rocket.
One rocket, 12 soldiers.
They're high, Fargiladi.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. So now what's going to happen tomorrow? I mean, you try to anticipate some of this stuff from your field, both of you on the ground. What are you looking for tomorrow?
Actually, tomorrow I am going to sit down and talk with the owners of one of the television stations here. It's an independent television station. And I'm going to actually do some video and have them give me a rundown of the series of events that have taken place that have, somewhat, for the most part, been in the media, but to have a clear understanding of putting all this together as far as what has taken place here in the past 2 weeks. But there has been a troop buildup progressively ever since the end of the last operation. But that troop buildup has actually, obviously accelerated since a week ago this past Sunday.
Now, Michael, what is the feel for the average Israeli, whether in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or over on the Gaza border or down in Eilat? What's the feel, the tempo of the average citizen?
Well, from what I'm seeing in the social media and also talking to people on the street, and I'm going to have more interviews for you guys, but there is a great deal of tension, especially in this area. Folks are preparing for it. They're preparing their homes when it comes to making sure they have plenty of water and toilet paper and things like that stocked up. They're expecting the worst because they're not taking this threat lightly. Especially the people up here in the north, and most of these folks are right-wing. They're very right-wing because they have experienced, unlike the folks in Tel Aviv, they've experienced the brunt of attack from the First and Second Lebanon War.
Well, what do you estimate the difference would be between Gaza down in the south, Muslim Brotherhood attacking, versus Hezbollah attacking in the north on Israel? How would you they would be similar or different? Explain the differences.
In my experience in being down on the Gaza during the whole operation, first of all, the terrain's much different. The weather is much different. Right now it's wintertime up here, and there's snow in the mountain on Mount Hermon. It's a very cold time. So, if you read historically and even biblically, a lot of times there's not too many wars that take place during the wintertime. And we see this even with our troops in Afghanistan because of the weather. Apparently, these guys have obviously been planning this for some time, and they're using the fact that ISIL has got things pretty much wound tight. So they're using this as a reason to now pinpoint Israel. This area here is very, very mountainous. The soldiers have a tough time up here in the wintertime. It's a very tough time. It's very cold. And it's not fun, I'll tell you that. There's not snow on the ground now, but just a week ago there was, and you can see Mount Hermon from here. It's very snow-covered, and that snow will stay until at least mid to late March.
So you're saying that Hezbollah is wanting to attack Israel to draw troops away from ISIS to more come to their cause? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let me backtrack here a little bit. Part of the reason why there's been a troop buildup here is because of ISIS over the past few months. I've actually been in contact with different soldiers in the artillery and the tanks, and they've been telling me, Michael, we're gearing up more in the north. What I think is you're going to see right now, I just read an article last week where Hezbollah is having a lot of money problems. And I think part of that might tend to come from the sanctions on Iran. Now, Obama back in the spring or in the summer of last year released a bunch of money to Iran that was frozen in bank accounts.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
what we're going to see is, I believe, and I've been predicting this for a number of months since last summer, you're going to see Hezbollah form a coalition with ISIS because they can't afford a civil war, and their main goal, in fact, Shalom backed this up in the video that we did today. He said, look, they're going to join forces because their main goal, even though they kill each other, is Israel. And remember, keep this in mind. Let me say this real quick. During the first Gulf War, if you remember, George H.W. Bush had told Israel, don't retaliate against the rockets from Iraq, for the sole purpose that if Israel would retaliate against Iraq, Saddam Hussein would have the ability to say, look, Muslim world as a whole, look what the Jews are doing to your brothers here in Iraq.
Right.
You're talking like Tom the Italian with your hands. Try and keep your hands down.
Try to keep your hands down there, Michael. You're it makes a video harder. But so that's very interesting, though, that we're seeing some backlash from this flood of cheap oil coming out of Saudi Arabia when they've dumped all their oil down to $40 a barrel. And what it's doing, it's really hurting the Iranian economy, where it's actually starving money to the Hezbollah troops, where the Hezbollah troops are now making a pact with ISIS to get more money and financing up in Syria and Lebanon. Correct? Is that pretty much?
That's absolutely correct. And let me throw something else in. Remember the Pope a few weeks ago had all these imams, Sunni and Shia, in the Vatican. And he said, you must come together. Now, the key is we have to ignore some of the phraseology because we know it's surface. You must come together for the sake of stopping ISIS. And again, it's that Sunni-Shia connection. And, the Vatican's always been anti-Jew, anti-Israel. That's a historical fact. As many Catholics as might get mad at that statement, especially some that support me.
Especially some they used to support you.
So if I kind of get the hierarchical structure here, it's hate Jews, hate Israel first, and then Muslims second. Once we kill the Jews, now we'll fight
we'll get back to fighting
each other. So, but we're such anti-Semites, such hatred and loathers of Judaism and Israel, is that we must kill them first, no matter what your sect is, and then we must go to. Is that correct?
And that's correct. And let me add to that by saying this: the Islamic world is now coming out with a lie. I'm seeing this on Facebook a lot. We're not. The Islam needs to change. And I heard about you guys talk about some of these guys that want to reform Islam, like Zudi Jasser. I stayed up last night cleaning my apartment and trying to get packed for today, and was just going through your videos. And let me say, regardless of this small percentage that wants to stop the violence, don't believe the lie, because I don't have time to cater to these small minority, and I will not cater to them. I will tell it like it is. Muhammad was a bloodthirsty, child-raping, self-appointed false prophet. There is no peace in Islam. And a lot of these people are trying to lie now, especially to the Jewish people here. I see it in the social media. And they're like, yeah, way to go. Wait for a Muslim to say it. And I'm like, you people have no clue what you don't know who your enemy is well enough, obviously. So my whole point in saying that is that the Islamic world says we don't hate the Jews. We don't like the Zionists.
Yeah, right.
This is something that we use so we do not come off as anti-Semitic, even though we are.
A couple of things at 49.
I love the guys, and when we were up there on the Lebanon border that one time, is they really seem to know their enemy as much as who they are. I look at the soldier sitting next to him as he's making these statements, and he's like nodding his head. Yep. So
yeah, there's no now. Even ironically, there is. I think we talked about this last time, Michael. That there are situations all through Israel where Jews and Muslims get along, but that's another show. Why why does that happen? A couple of
economics.
Points. A couple of points. Economics is one of them. Remember the factory we went in, but we know if push came to shove, what would happen. Hang on one second. It's 50 minutes after 50 minutes after the hour. WSBR, Tom Trento, name of the show, Enemies of the State. We have live from Kiryat Shmona, way up in the northwestern corner of Israel, on the Lebanese border, is Michael Ganoe. He's with Hershey's for Heroes. Go to Facebook, check out Hershey Bars, Hershey's for Heroes. Michael's one of his ministries to Israel, particularly the IDF, Israel Defense Force. He has people from all over the world donate chocolate bars. Then they write little messages of hope and encouragement on the bars. Then Michael goes around Israel distributing these candy bars to the men and women of the IDF. And in doing that over the past several years, he's become very friendly with them, and they let him in on bases all over the place. But also he has a Facebook site, Insight to Israel, a radio show. And right now he's serving as our war correspondent, helping us out on the ground in Israel. We're showing you some of his Facebook pages. For those here in the States and you haven't been in Israel, you need to come with us on March 21st, 2015. With the stuff we're talking about today, the high ground and all of this, you'll understand it personally, and you'll understand it existentially, and you'll never be the same. Analogously, if you live in the state of Florida and you look at the Panhandle, that portion of Florida that goes from the west over by Alabama and New Orleans over to the east to the ocean, that chunk, that handle of the pan, that's similar to the area that Michael is in. The Galilee region up north covers the whole northern part. Then you got this little piece that juts up to the north. He's on that little piece that juts up on the western side of that, which is the eastern side of Lebanon, the western side of Israel. That's where he is right now. So come on our briefing. We're going to go right into town where Michael is right now and other towns up there. Michael, before we let you go, your guest, Shmona, we missed what he said in the beginning. The signal broke up a little bit. Let him take a moment to share his thoughts with our American listeners and viewers.
You could talk to them. So dependent.
Be careful from the Muslims. They are very Michigan.
Crazy. The Muslims are crazy.
Oh, they're all Michigan over there.
He actually said that. How could we help? How could America help him?
And they take a knife,
They can laugh
and
at you.
at once, boom.
They can laugh with you and take a knife and stab you at the same time.
Whoa.
This is very true.
What? How could America help him and other Israelis up there?
I'm sorry?
How could America help your guest and others Israelis living in a very difficult part of a very difficult country in a very difficult neighborhood?
You can support Boots on the Ground, Insight to Israel, and Hershey's for Heroes.
Beautiful. Okay, and we got your websites up. We will be back with you. Any breaking news, give us a call. We can tape anything, anytime. And we'll try to get a report from you either tomorrow or later in the week or whenever anything breaks. You guys stay safe up there, okay?
Okay.
I want to tell you last word something.
Yes.
To the Arab and the Muslim countries, they have 22 countries. The Jewish people have only one little country. What do they want from our life? What do they want from us?
Does this man not...
Let him finish.
Only little country Jewish. One country little.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is the concept of waqf.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, and we'll discuss that, in fact, as we let you guys go. Michael, take care. Shmona, take care, and we will be in touch. Godspeed, guys. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Can't see. Okay, hey, sometimes we get a phenomenal Skype connection that's as clear as could be. Sometimes it's a little rough, and we apologize to the radio audience. It's tough sometimes when you're just listening, but when you're watching the video, much easier to understand. So When you get out of your cars, go to theunitedwest.org. Watch the show. There was some very important stuff said there. And, we're watching. I don't know. What do you think? Something going to happen up there or what?
Well, yeah. There has to be something that's, they have a lot more intelligence than they're actually sharing, the Israelis. They have satellites. They have intelligence data. They see troop movements. They see missiles coming in. And so the Israeli forces are moving up a whole bunch of forces up into the area, just like they did down in Gaza. They're expecting something really horrific. And plus, on the other fact, what I noticed up there when we were up there was they have no filters when it comes on to what they believe up there as far as the enemy is concerned. They have
political
zero.
correct
Their
filters now.
Political correctness is out the window. And it's the same type of message we heard here. Hey, these guys want to come over here and kill us, chop off our heads because we're Jews. What don't you get about that?
This is tough for me because, as a Christian, you always want to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. But Shimona there, Shimon, he said, they'll laugh with it. The Arabs will laugh with it, and they'll stab you in the back, right? And you go, all right, IDF guy living in the wild, wild west up there. He's got a little slanted view. But if you remember,
the Druze had the same exact. Druze are Muslims, okay? When he's talking about Muslims, he's talking about Hezbollah, Sunni, ISIS Muslims. He says
Hezbollah Shia.
No,
that's what I said.
No. Let me finish what I was going to say.
Okay.
He said, when the Arabs will laugh, they'll stab you in the back. Oops, sorry. Sorry, friend. They'll stab you in the back, right? And it reminded me when we were in Israel in 2012, we were on a special law enforcement briefing, and we had an individual who was an Israeli former police officer, high-level police officer, taking us on a briefing, and we're in a police station, his old police station, and an Arab fellow there runs up to him. Remember, they were hugging each other, and
right.
And they were partners for 10 years. So here you got an Israeli and you got an Arab in a Israeli town, police officers, brothers in combat, fighting terrorism, fighting everything. And then when we got in the bus to leave, the police officer, the Israeli, told us that one time when they were on the job, the Israeli asked the Arab, let me ask you something. If all hell breaks loose and, it's the Jews against the Arabs, you're my brother. I mean, we stand side by side fighting bad guys. What side are you going on? And what do you think he said?
The Arab side.
He said, I have to. It's my blood. You're my brother, but that's my blood. I have to go fight with
Absolutely.
them against you.
It is in the Quran that you cannot take those who do not believe as your friend. So to say that this man would take a Jew over the Muslim as his friend is ridiculous.
Yeah, then in terms of a long-term solution, you look at somebody like Zudi, and we have no illusions that Zudi is the leader of anything. He's a
He's
very
the
nice
leader
guy.
of Judaism.
Yeah, it's not even Islam. He's pushing, and you give him an A for effort, but it means nothing. And he doesn't like when we say that. But even if everybody got behind him, let's say at best you could have a whole country of Zudiisms or Zudilam, whatever it is. That's okay. That's at least not lethal. So the question is, when push comes to shove, it's the Arabs against the West. What side would Zudi be on?
The West.
I think he would. Because he's not an Arab.
He loves being an American.
He loves being an American.
Okay,
yeah.
Zudi loves America. Zudi is a patriot. Zudi served the armed forces here in America. There is no way.
The conversation I've been having with a bunch of people, they hate Zudi. They think he's a secret agent and that he's doing all this stuff wrong.
Oh, that's crap.
Yeah, it's we'll deal with Zudi another time. All right, this is part 1 of 3 parts. We took a look at the tense situation on the Israeli border, and our feeling is there's going to be some response. As of today, Israel issued a warning to the Hezbollah in Lebanon and basically said this. This was a little earlier today. Stern warning that if you think about hitting any of our assets or any of our people or property somewhere in the world, we will retaliate essentially to Hezbollah in Lebanon. You're going to get hurt if something happens to our people somewhere. That's scary.
Well,
Part
also-
two tomorrow is
Good.
Part
Also,
two-
Obama threatening retaliation against Bibi Netanyahu too.
Yeah. Part two tomorrow. We're taking a look at the House of Saud of Asia, a larger picture of the situation in the Middle East. And then on Wednesday, General Paul Vallely will be here to help us understand how Iran is leveraging the tension in Israel, the upheaval in Yemen, and the new king in Saudi Arabia, all affecting you as a person. See you tomorrow.